Welcome to the 0 Hour Square Show. First time
Thank
first time appearance on here. By the way, I want to remind you all at 11 o'clock tonight, 6:10 a.m. The Sports Animal. I will be doing my radio show, and Michael will also be joining us on that show as well. And we're going to play a couple of tracks off of a couple of CDs. Man, they are some barn burners, shredders like I've never ever heard before. And it's a real pleasure to have Michael on the show. So again, 11 o'clock p.m. excuse me, I'm all over the place, on the 6:10 a.m. The Sports Animal, or 6:10 a.m. thesportsanimal.com if you're having trouble to receiving it somewhere and you might be out kind of far, whatever. Michael A. Ruelas will be joining us on that show as well to talk pretty much about what we're talking about here, but tune into that because we're going to play some tracks off the actual CD and you'll get to hear him accompanied by bass drums and all that other good stuff. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How long have you been jamming? Where are you from? Give us the kind of whole rundown about Michael A. Ruelas.
Okay, well, I'm originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm proud to be from here. I've been playing guitar all my life. I started when I was, my God, about 7 or 8 years old. Mm-hmm. Basically, my dad played like rancheras and stuff like that, a little bit of flamenco. So I used to watch him play as a child, and I just really got into it. Mm-hmm. And naturally influenced me. So. Right.
Now, I'm not blowing no smoke up your butt when I'm saying this, but I've got to say you are one of the finest musicians I've ever seen to come out of the state of New Mexico. And
thank you.
Anytime, period. I mean, and we've had some great. I mean, there's a lot of rich culture and a lot of rich music, several genres. Right. But I mean, you have to be right up. Your name has got to be mentioned up in the top 10, along with guys like Randy Castillo and folks that play in other genres of music. But I got to tell you, man, I'm just blown away by what I hear, and seeing it live on my TV show like this is an extra special treat. I really, it's a privilege to have you on the program playing your style of music.
It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. So, okay, let's also backtrack a little bit. You said you started when you were 9, correct, playing guitar?
Right.
And your father was a musician. You watched him play. Right. So you naturally every kid wants to do what their dad does. Right. But you seem to have this extraordinary talent. You were more self-taught. Was your father? Was he self-taught as well? How did that whole? I mean, to become the tremendous musician that you are. I mean, to be self-taught or even just taught by your father, it's pretty incredible. Kind of tell us the journey that led to the style and your chops that you play.
Okay, basically the journey began, when I started playing guitar, it just felt so good, you know what I mean? Just the guitar, the wood, the neck being in my hands, it was just like, wow, and I never really took lessons, but just, I just loved music, and I loved the Beatles, and I just love music in general. So I just pretty much, I was one of those guys who just, would do his homework, and just practice and practice. I just practiced like countless hours, and learn, studied music theory, books, and until this day, I still, it's a lifelong thing till the day I die,
Right. Incredible chops, man. I can't believe, and you're a virtuoso style in the vein of like Yngwie Malmsteen, Steve Vai, Jeff Beck, Eddie Van Halen, those kinds of guys. Out of all those guitar players, who is your favorite and why?
Okay, very good question. I would have to say, well, I was, when I heard Eddie Van Halen, he blew my mind. Okay, when I heard Eruption, I had to learn it. I was 13, 14, I learned it, and I was like, cool, right on. But, you hear players come along, they come, and when I heard Yngwie, I was like really blown away. But then before that, I was listening to like classical guitar players, and, so I'm not just a shredder. I get into different types of, like the song I just played is an alternative tuning song, so it's like tuned totally different. So I get into different types of music, but I would have to say, Al Di Meola, players like that, Yngwie, and there's quite a few, but yeah, I'd have to say Yngwie Malmsteen was probably the biggest.
Right, and Al Di Meola, you mentioned, who's a big jazz musician, jazz guitar player, and yeah, there's so many that are out there, and I love the instrument. I personally would rather hear just instrumentals the way you perform them than any music, basically with vocals. I mean, oftentimes the landscapes that can be painted, it's a canvas that can be changed over and over again, and colored so many different ways. Right. You are also a guitar teacher.
Yes.
Which is awesome, man, because what age of group of students do you start up to? I mean, what's your...
I teach from beginning to intermediate to advanced. basically, I love teaching the young kids because I look at them as being the future and the new generation. But anywhere from kids to teenagers to adults, it does not matter. You know, if they want to learn how to play, I'll teach them. If they want to learn theory, I'll teach them. You know, so that's what I'm about.
When one speaks of theory, kind of explain that.
Well, there's a reason for everything. Every note means something. Okay, there's modes. There's your circle of fifths. I mean, there's just so much. You know what I mean? There's building chords. You know, it could just go on and go on and go on. It's a lot of mathematical solutions and problem fighting. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Okay. Yeah, because I wanted you to explain that, you as a teacher, because I mean, a lot of times people, when they hear theory, they're like, well, what does that exactly mean? But it's basically just the technical aspects and the deeper kind of, you know, the theorems and the following the rabbit down the hole, basically.
Right. Well, it's like someone asks you, you know, what's a C major, what's a C minor? I mean, you know, it's good to figure it out and, you know what you're playing, dissect what you're playing. If you're playing a scale, you know, what is it, Aeolian? Is it a minor? Is it a major, a pentatonic? You know what I mean? You know, guitar players, it should be very important for them to understand this. That way they can dissect and they can, you know, understand more of an understanding of what they're playing instead of just, you know, there's also people that want to just rock. Great. I have some students like that. They don't want theory scares them.
Right.
You know what I mean? All right, well, let's learn a Judas Priest song. Let's learn whatever. All right, I'll teach them.
Right,
you know.
right. That's the kind of student I was.
Okay.
I had a teacher, a great teacher, and you know, actually the first thing he taught me how to play was Limelight from Rush, and that was when he was just teaching me scales. I was blown away. That's how come they became my favorite band. But I didn't really want to learn that. I wanted to play Black Sabbath right away. I wanted to play Slayer right away. Right. And I think, you know, that's why I'm not sitting in that chair like you are right now. But, you know, we go back a ways. I don't know if you remember, right around 1989, I was doing a fanzine called Ground Zero, and I had a small little thing of you in there. I don't know how I managed to trip upon it, but I've always remembered your name. What have you been doing over the course of the years as far as recordings? What is out there? I know you have 2 solo albums, correct?
Right. Well, right now, I'm on a compilation, and that was early 90s. I was chosen out of 2,000 guitar players.
Is that called the Resume Volume 1?
Yeah, that's Resume Volume 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else is on there, and tell us about this album?
Well, I was the only one from New Mexico that actually got on there. There was several guitar players that were submitting their demos, but out of that was like, like I said, I was chosen out 2,000 guitar players from the United States. So,
wow.
You know what I mean? So I was one of them. So I'm really grateful for that.
Right.
Other than that, I did The Solely Within, 90 and 98, which got released a couple of years back. Just been teaching and just working on music.
Awesome. And you also have another one that's going to be coming out shortly, right?
Oh, yeah.
You gave me a rough draft of like 5 songs, and I don't even know where it sounds rough, man. It sounds like it's really ready to go. So I can imagine when you polish it up and you really get it to the specs that you want it, it's going to be an amazing album. And I'm looking very forward to that. We will be playing a track off of that on the 0 Hour Square radio show tonight. So all of you boppers, clones, sports animals, make sure you tune in tonight to check that out.